God divine moments. That's what I'm talking about. That just seems to change your life, those divine moments. So we've covered the Christmas story through that and the divine moments that Joseph must have felt. And in an angel just in a dream that God spoke to him, or Mary, the divine moment as an angel speaks to her, Gabriel comes and speaks to her. Or the shepherds that were just living their life, just out in the field. I love how Scripture says that they were just living out in the field, keeping watch over the flocks by night, that they were just living their life, in other words, and all of a sudden, a divine moment of angels singing and declaring the good news that just changed their lives. It's the divine moments that mean so much. So today we're going to look at another group that we haven't hit yet, and we're going to hit the wise men. And I'll tell you right from the beginning, before we read this, I know there is controversy on whether or not to put the wise men in the nativity. I say put them there. I mean, they're part of the story, so put them there. Were they there that night that the shepherds came? No, but that's okay. Put them there. It looks good. We need a camel or two in the nativity. We need somebody more dressed up than just the shepherd there with his staff. So put them there. It makes it look good. Well, turn to me to Matthew chapter 2. Some of you are thinking, they weren't there? Man. In Matthew chapter 2, it says, "Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem." That's how we know they weren't there, because it was after Jesus was born in Bethlehem. All right, so no. Goes on saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and we have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. So they said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea. For thus it is written by the prophet, 'But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not the least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel.' Then Herod, when he had secretly called the wise men, determined from them what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, 'Go and search carefully for the young child, and when you have found him, bring back word to me that I may come and worship him also.' When they heard the king, they departed, and behold, the star which they had seen in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And when they had come into the house," that's another reason we know it wasn't in the nativity scene right there, because it wasn't now a stable. They went to a house. So just by the way. But put them there because it looks good, by the way. No controversy, by the way. Just when they came into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Then, being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed for their own country another way. And I want to talk to you this morning on a moment of change. And we'll get there. But I believe with every divine moment, you encounter a moment of change. In fact, to really experience the divine moment, you will have to have a moment of change in your own life. Divine moments don't come and just leave you the same way. In other words, divine moments will always bring a change in your life. And I'm thinking here with the wise men, one of the things that really stands out to me is before there was a moment of change, there was a huge moment of faith. I mean, a huge moment of faith. When I look at the Christmas story, these guys had more faith really than anybody. Because think of this. They weren't divinely given a message by an angel. Gabriel didn't come down like he did with Mary and say to these guys, how many ever there was, we'll put 3 in there because it looks good on the nativity. We'll put 3. But how many ever men there were, Gabriel didn't come down and just say, hey, there's a king being born. Get everything ready. Grab your gifts. Go and worship him. They didn't have that kind of encounter. They didn't have the encounter of even the shepherds who were out in the field and angels singing and the sky lighting up and angels just singing this beautiful song and telling them where to go. They didn't have any of that. Here's what the wise men had. They had a star. A star just showed up. It couldn't have been just that much different really than any other star maybe. I mean, you didn't have people coming from all over the place. You had even the people in Jerusalem, the scribes and all them, they didn't even notice it. But you had these wise men from the east that just saw a star, and at the glimpse of a star, they just had a moment of faith that said, there's something different about this, and I feel it is going to be life-changing in my life. I've just got to take a step of faith and follow this and see where it leads me. I don't think it's just an ordinary star. I think there's more than this. I feel like there's a king that is being born, and we've got to go worship him because it's not just an ordinary king. It feels like it's the King of Kings, and I've got to go and just see what this is about. Not with a message from an angel, not with even knowing the books and the laws. It was just from a star, something in their heart that says, I've got to go chase this. Can you imagine the faith involved? They didn't even know where they were going. I mean, can you think of, just imagine with me as they're getting ready to head out on this journey of faith to go find this king. Their friends asking them like, where are you going? And they're going, I don't know. What's your directions? Well, there's a star. Really? What are you going to do in the day? I don't know. We'll just keep walking that way, and at night when it comes back up, we'll just keep following it. I don't know. How long are you going to be gone? I'm not really sure. I mean, for their friends, they had to have thought, for some wise men, you don't have a lot figured out here. To supposed to be so wise that you are, you really don't know what's going on too much, do you? What's your plan? I don't know. But there's a star. And how many of us in our walk of faith has it just been something in our heart that just says, I've got to chase this. I don't know what it's about yet. I don't know where it's going to lead me. I don't know, but there's just something inside that says, I've got to find him. This is the moment for the wise men. But I'm telling you, in order to find the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, we all have that moment, don't we? In all of us, there was a moment in our lives, and some of you might be experiencing it right now, a moment that just says, I've got to see what this is about. I've got to chase this. I've got to find out what is going on. And it could be anything that led you there. It could be just an event that happened that just wakes you up that says, I've got to change. I've got to find out what this is about. It could be friends. It could be a post that someone made on Facebook. Every now and then that happens. It could have been just something that says, I've got to find out what this is about, and I've got to find this king. And on this journey that you take, this faith journey, there will always be the people around you asking, where are you going? What's it going? Why are you changing? Why are you doing this? Why are you going to church every Sunday? Why would you do that? I mean, there's just other things to do with your life. Why are you There's going to be people, and maybe you don't have all the answers like the wise men, but it's just something saying, I've just got to go. I've just got to be there. I've just got to find the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, because I just feel there's something different in a divine moment that he's wanting to change in my life. So these wise men head out, going on this journey, and the first person they come to for information, I think, is so odd. They go to Herod, the king of Israel at the time. And if you know anything about Herod, he was not a good guy. This was an evil man they went to. This wasn't a guy that you would have it all together. This was the guy. Herod's the guy that killed his own sons because he was scared they were going to take his throne someday. I mean, that's a... So to go to Herod of all people and say, hey, we've come to search for the new king. That really isn't like, that's not, again, and the Bible called them wise men. I mean, they went to Herod, the guy who's killed his own sons because he's scared they're going to be king. And these wise guys. These wise men came to him and it was like, hey, we want to know where the new king's going to be, the real king. Like, what? Give me all the information you got. There's some people going to die. I'm going to kill them all. I think it's interesting, though, because really on your journey of faith, did you not go to some people who really weren't the best people to go to for information? I mean, seriously. In this journey of faith, I mean, it's like, what do you think? I think I need to change my life. And they're like, I think you're fine. I look at my life. It could be worse. Because on our journey of faith and not knowing where to go so many times in this search for it, we don't always go to the right people. But somehow or another, God still guides us to him. And they brought the gifts. Because they decided, if we're going to go see the king, we're coming to worship. And can I tell you, your journey of faith will always lead you to a place of worship, to a moment of worship. If you never, it's like this in our walk with Christ. To find him, it starts out with a walk of faith, but if it never comes to a place of worship, worshiping him, giving your all to him, finding your purpose and sacrifice, it doesn't do a thing. And I tell you this because I'm afraid too many people, a lot of times, they start this moment of faith and they never get to a moment of worship. They never get to a moment of sacrifice. They never get to a place that says, I'm giving him more than just myself. I'm giving him something of value. I'm giving him my all. I'm giving something to him because I want to worship him. I'm giving him my life because he gave his all for me. It will always lead to a place of worship. And if it never leads to a place of worship, you're just wandering around. You might be looking for something, and just going from here to there to here to there, just searching, because you never come to a place of surrender and worship to the King of Kings. But these wise men, they said, no, if we're going to search for him, we're coming prepared to worship him. And when they found him, they brought in their gifts. They brought in the gold. They brought in the frankincense. They brought in the myrrh. And what all that means, I know what gold is, just like you. Let's guess what frankincense and myrrh is, and we'll just play along. But they brought their gifts, things of value, because they wanted to worship him. And I love this. And Carlos, will you come back up in Shelby? I love this. After the moment of worship, then you see a moment of change. It's after the moment of worship that they really get God speaking to them in dreams, because it's this moment of worship they had. Everything else before, they're just going by guessing. They're just following a star. They're just asking for people for advice. What do you think? Where do you think he is? Well, look, we'll knock on every door. We're just trying to find him. But after they worship the King of Kings, it's then in a dream that says, don't go back. Not the same way you came. Can I tell you, once you truly encounter the King of Kings, you can't go back the same way you came. You can't go back to your old life. You can't go. It's so changing in your life that you cannot go back the same way. If you're going back to the same life, the same way, the same, just a routine, you truly didn't worship. You truly didn't encounter him. You're still just searching and going back and searching and going back. But when you encounter the King of Kings, there will then be a moment of change in your life. That says there's just something, I cannot go back the same way I came. I've got to encounter a different route in my life. I can't not journey the same road I've always journeyed. After I've encountered him, I've got to take a new path. I've got to take a new route. My life is changing, and I'm experiencing the change that he has for me. This new way of living, this new life, this new way, it brings change in your life. Can't experience the King and not experience the change. So if you want the divine moments, and God might be speaking to you, there might be those little things in your heart, those divine moments where it's just that it started a moment of faith in you, but if it has not led to a moment of change in your life, that now I'm a new creation. Paul put it this way: once I encounter him, old things have passed away. It's all done. Now behold, all things become new. All because I encountered the King and I worshiped him. So let me ask you, have you experienced the moment of change? Because the divine moment will always lead you to the moment of change in your life.